Welcome back to His and Hers Movie Podcast. This is episode number 33, featuring a recap of our quite adventurous weekend. I am one half of your hosting duo, JP, podcasting out of southwestern Pennsylvania on this September 7th, 2020. And joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, your friend, Carly. What's going on? We're back.
We are back. Yeah, we just had a weekend. We just got home at around, 4:30 a.m. or so. And now we are recording a pod. And I'm watching some 91 movies and getting ready for that show. And life is good at the moment. How are you doing, buddy?
I am doing swell. It was a very long week, quite adventurous. This episode's going to be a little bit different, guys, listeners out there. We are actually not doing the traditional format, which we do, with the featured review and such. This is just a recap of our weekend and I guess our week. And it probably will be a little bit shorter, but we kind of just needed to wind down a little bit because, not only did we have a long weekend, but we also, I had a long week with work and stuff like that. So, yeah. I guess to start off, the beginning of the week last week for me was kind of all over the place. I did a couple of second shifts, and then I did a couple of night shifts. My night shift, one day in particular, I was training. A couple days actually I was training, so had that going on. Luckily I was training somebody that I actually like.
Great.
I was training 2 weeks ago. I was training some lady and she was absolutely horrible. Suffice to say that she didn't last. She basically just actually, I don't know if I said this on air, but I had a huge argument with her out of nowhere, and this was her third day with me, and it was an actual argument. She was yelling at me, and I was okay, I don't think this is gonna work out. I have to train you, and if we can't get along, this isn't gonna work. And she was just crazy. She was nuts. It goes to show, the very first day she was supposed to start, she said that she couldn't make it because she got in a car accident. And then the second day she was supposed to start, she, had to do something with her car, which I did see her car and it was damaged, but, not a good start. And then I think 2 other times she had to come in late or something. She got lost one day and was 2 hours late. But that was probably a legit excuse too, because she was coming from West Virginia and it was dark and her GPS was messed up on her phone or something, so she wasn't using a GPS. And I kind of believed her on that, but
no, you can't. If you just start a job, you have to be there.
Right. And then we had that yelling match, and then she I don't know, she may have been on drugs or something. I kind of got that vibe when I first met her, but I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. And then whenever she flipped out on me for literally no reason, I was yeah, I think she's on drugs. And then she literally just never showed back up one day. So that was actually almost going to ruin our plans, but luckily a coworker that I worked with for a couple years at a different property actually needed a job and came and worked with us. So turned out pretty well with her. She learned really fast, and it worked out just in time. Her first night was the Saturday we were at the drive-in, so it worked out pretty good, thankfully, because I would have been really bummed to have to cancel this trip. But one of the days, because I needed 3 days off this week, and I'm the type of person where I don't want to lose any money.
Right.
Used to be salary, so that wasn't really a problem, but at this new job I'm not. So I actually, and obviously I don't have any vacation or any sick days or anything like that built up, because I just started here back in March. But I did a double in order to not lose a day. So I worked from 3 p.m. to 7 a.m. and Boy, that was on Tuesday, and then I went right into Wednesday night. I got off at 7 a.m. and then came back at 11 p.m. on Wednesday night, and then Thursday night I worked overnight again, but I actually left a little early so that I could get some sleep before we had our 5-hour drive. So it was a crazy, like, compacted long week feeling. Just, the 4 days that I worked felt really long because I worked 5 in the 4, and I was like super tired. I did manage to squeeze in some 91 moves. It's coming. I'm kind of just over it at this point. There are a few that I'm definitely going to go into the episode not have seen. Because I might have time to get to some of them, but I just don't feel like grinding that hard on the final few days, because I'm just honestly tired of watching movies right now, just because we just watched 3 a night essentially, and just all week last week, and it was just pretty burnt out feeling, and I'm burnt out on 91 too. I think I'm close to 60 watches, which is plenty for 91, but I kind of made a little bit of a mistake where I was watching stuff that had no chance to make my list early on, and then now I'm which is you're supposed to do that a little bit too, just to kind of flesh out the year a little bit. But there are actually quite a lot of movies from 1991 that are worth watching. Might not make your list, but worth watching. And the amount that will make your list, could make your list, is like 20. But there are good like 40 movies outside of that are probably worth watching, which is kind of crazy to think about, but it's a fact, because I've watched a ton of. I watched 60, and there's a good 30 there that I think are worth watching. Might not be list makers, but are worth watching. So kind of an interesting area. We record that this Friday, so just got a couple more days to prep, which is like nothing for me because I'm working all of them, and in the afternoon and stuff, so I probably won't get to that much more. I did watch one today.
Yeah, once I hit 50, that's when I pretty much don't care anymore, and I've hit that 50, but I plan to watch 1 or 2 a day up until Friday, because I don't think I have anything else going on to where I wouldn't be able to do that, besides work, of course, but I feel I'm not panicked about it.
No, I feel comfortable with what I watch. There might be 1 or 2 that make someone's list that I haven't seen, but that's always the case anyway, especially in like a year like the 80s or 70s or whatever. But I assume I've seen most of the films that make lists for this one.
Right.
But yeah, so we're not going to do a traditional what we watched, because we're just going to go through our weekend, and we watched movies during that weekend, of course. But those of you who are wondering what we did this weekend, we went to a drive-in event called Camp Blood 6. They did 5 other ones. We went last year to Camp Blood 5, which was a lot of fun. I say this year was better, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. This one, it felt like a convention almost. It just felt bigger, and they had everything set up outside, which I believe is just because of the virus. But I mean, in my opinion, they should do that every year, because it just made it all the more fun in a way. It felt more open, and they had their vendors outside, where last year everything, of course, was in the trailer, and like even the food, you just went up to the table and then you wrapped around to get your food instead of going inside. So I thought that was pretty cool. They had 3 celebrity guests from the movies, where last year they only had the 1, which was cool because Jill Schoelen was awesome. And this one was also 3 days because it fell on Labor Day weekend. I don't know if this is the first time they've done that, because I know last year it was actually, because we went to Gettysburg second, and that was in August, so it was like the second weekend in August that this event went down last year. So they were a little bit late on it. I don't know if that's did that on purpose or what, but yeah, it just felt a lot bigger this time, and I feel like I like the lineup of movies better, and overall I had a really good time.
Yeah. So let's see. Anything notable happened during your week before we left?
Oh, you know me, I don't remember things. Not really. I pretty much just watched as many 91 movies and squeezed in at least some 91 movies and some few of the summer series movies that I had not watched before. Then I, got some groceries and like cat food and things like that I knew I would need before I left, and that's pretty much it. I wouldn't say anything too magical happened before we left. I didn't have to work 20 shifts like you or anything. Everything was pretty much basic. I took a half day the day we left, so I only had to work till noon as opposed to 4, which was pretty nice. And yeah, got out of work, and I think we left it around, well, I picked you up at like 1, then we kind of dilly-dallied as we tend to do, and then we got on the road like probably around 2. So yeah, nothing too exciting before that.
Yeah, so basically, Thursday night I got off work, came home. I knew I had to go to sleep, so I tried to go to sleep as soon as possible. I came home and packed first, then I went to sleep because I'm very bad at packing.
I made you a list. That was one of the things I did. I was like, you shall need these things.
Yes.
And you did it.
So yeah, we packed. I packed, and then woke up, got a shower, got ready. Felt pretty decent. Was like, okay, I don't feel too tired, because I was really worried about that. Working until 7 a.m. and we wanted to leave at like noon or 1. That didn't give me enough time to sleep, especially since it takes an hour to get home. But leaving early from work really helped. I was just fortunate that I was training somebody and they were kind of ready to go, that I could leave early. So that's good. So what else? We venture out. We stopped and grabbed some water and stuff, and we had Friday we leave at like noon. I had to go to the bank, so 1 p.m. or whatever. We start leaving maybe by 1:30, and we drive. So it's a without tolls, it's a 5-hour. What?
It's like exactly 4 hours and 50 minutes, so it pretty much rounds out to be 5 hours for, the time that we might spend in traffic or stopping places. It's like 5 hours. Yeah,
so we stopped, to switch driving once, and we also, got, we used the restroom once. So yeah, it equals about 5 hours without tolls, which we decided to go without tolls because, one, it's kind of a little nicer view, and it only saves about a half hour, 20 minutes to a half hour, but we go down through Maryland a little bit, which is nice, kind of pretty to look at and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a really long drive. For somebody who, I've never really driven far in my life. Like when I was a kid, I had ridden a bus from Florida to PA, and that sucked. I remember that sucking really bad, but that's a lot different too, because there's like a bunch of stops and you have to get on different buses and stuff, so it takes a while to kind of do that. Sometimes you have to wait. Like I remember we got off like late at night one night, and we're in a bus station and we're there for like 3 hours waiting for the next bus, so I remember that. And then the only other real trips, I went to Ohio a few times. Geauga Lake, I think is it Six Flags now? I don't know.
I think.
I went to that when I was a kid, and that's in Ohio. And then I also took a bus to South Carolina and back when I was a kid. So, I drove to Maryland like a few times with my family, which was like 2 hours or something. So nothing major though. Like I've never took very many long trips until last year, in which we made a joke about it a couple times, but we used to go to Vandergrift, which is a drive-in, and it used to feel like a long adventure because it's like an hour and 20 minutes or something, and now it like literally feels like so fast. Like it just feels like something you could do like for lunch,
Yeah, I mean, it literally, like, it feels stupid that we, like, that first time we went there, we got so prepared. We like packed a cool, which, I mean, by the way, guys, we're not that good at preparing. We should have done what I'm about to say. Yeah, what I'm about to say is what we should have done for this trip and we need to start doing. But, we packed a cooler for Vandergrift. We went to like Walmart the night before, wasted all this money on snacks that we didn't eat. Just did all this stuff, packed all these clothes and acting like we were gonna, be there forever and get lost or something. But yeah, once you travel 5 hours away, everything else is kind of a breeze, I will say. Because even last year, I mean, we went on that trip and then we went to Gettysburg the next weekend, and that's a whopping like 2 hours difference. Like that one's only 3 hours away, so that seemed like nothing even. But
Yeah.
I've been on my share of trips, I would say, but this is like the first one where I like drove and, I was with you. I wasn't with like family or anything like that. I mean, I've been on trips in school that obviously I wasn't with my family, but again, that's just like a big bus trip and all the kids are going. So this type of trip feels like a big adventure since it's like you and I against the world.
Right. And we started out, I drove to start and got a good close to 3 hours in on me, which I thought was pretty good. The last time you started first and drove most of the way, and then I drove like the last 2 hours or something like that. But
Right.
This time I drove first and drove like 3 hours, and then we traded off. You finished the thing. We kind of got lost or took a wrong turn, like the GPS messed up. So probably added 15 minutes or so to the trip.
Also, there was a giant wreck.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. There was a giant wreck. This semi truck like
derailed into the
and it was like mangled. But the trailer was mangled, but the cab looked okay. To me it seemed like the guy was probably okay, but that's pretty scary, It must have happened like really right before us because I don't know, it just seemed like it
Well, they were
seemed
like
pretty
literally
fresh.
setting up the cones as we were driving by, and the police were like rolling up behind us, like driving in the grass to get over there. It was kind of
forgot about that.
Yeah, it was freaky, but yeah, like
it was weird too though, because it didn't seem like a particularly dangerous area to wreck. So I don't know if you like fell asleep or something or what.
That's what I was just gonna say. Like I have no idea what could have possibly went wrong there, because it was obviously just him. He must have lost control or something. But that's always scary. But honestly, that wasn't that bad of traffic. I mean, I remember going to the beach with my family as a kid, and it seemed like there would always be some giant wreck or something, and we would just be in traffic for, it felt like hours, but it might have just been because I was a little kid. But so yeah, we got there.
We probably arrived there at
I believe it was exactly 7:09.
Okay, so 7:09. And I'd say that, parking wise, we got a pretty good spot for 7:09, I'd say.
And they were navigating where we should park, where last year it was a free-for-all and cars were just kind of smushed together. And the second night last year, we almost couldn't even find a place to go. And, the event was sold out Friday and Saturday, so I think they kind of learned their lesson maybe last year, so they were like, we should probably tell people where to park so they're not finangled on top of each other. But I was just gonna say, we got a decent place to park, but like there was a giant mud puddle behind us.
Yeah. And then when we got there, we really didn't know what to do. Like there was still some daylight left, and like we saw that Felissa Rose had a line, and we were like, should we meet Felissa Rose? Because we didn't know, like they weren't really good about telling us like how long the people were going to be there for. I think at first Felissa was just supposed to be there that night, but then I was like, that doesn't make sense because sleepaway camp's tomorrow, so it would make sense for her to be there tomorrow too. And then we found out that she would be there tomorrow too, so we were like, you know what, let's just wait till tomorrow and meet her tomorrow, because it's a little bit starting to get dark and stuff, and it was pretty much dark, and so we decided maybe we should get in line for Ari. I don't know, anytime I go to like a convention or there's celebrities and stuff, or horror celebrities, I never I don't feel like meeting them until I'm like there for a little bit. I don't know if it's like a nervous thing. Like I genuinely don't feel nervous like when I go to meet the person, except for Joe Bob, honestly. Like I was like actually nervous to meet Joe Bob. Like I was like intimidated or something. He's a really big dude.
I think it's scary when there's not really a line either. I almost rather there be a big line so that I think with Joe Bob, then we just like walked right up to him. Yeah. So that's even scarier. But I do understand what you mean. I mean, I'm terrified. I never know what to say to people either. Like I don't want to be annoying and say the same thing they've heard a million times. So a lot of the times I kind of drop the ball and just say, please sign my thing, and then walk away.
I always feel like I don't want to bother them with like a bunch of like, you know, I'm your biggest fan type thing.
Right.
So like I just hope that, you know, in the moment I think of something to say, or like they say something that reminds me of something. I always try to throw in like one thing that, you know, just an opinion of mine or something like that. With you know, Joe Bob, like I told him more than I normally do, but you know, I always like try to throw in something. So we were kind of like, what should we do? And we decided maybe we'll get in Ari's line, and I think we decided to get food or something because I was like really hungry. And then he actually went in, because he was there the night before, and I thought he was only supposed to be there the night before, because the night before they did like a pre-day thing, which was on Thursday, where they showed the original Friday the 13th with him there. And then he came back for the second night, which was cool. So we got a chance to meet him, but he ended up playing a set like of his music, his band First Jason. And I don't know about you, but I've always kind of like heard people mock him, you know, like I always heard that like, wow, this guy, you know, played Jason for like 10 minutes and, you know, as a kid, and he made an entire career out of it. And like you always heard like his bit, like, you know, the band's name is First Jason, so you're thinking like this guy, you know, is like just trying to squeeze every ounce of blood out of the rock that he can.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've always heard that in sort of a negative way, where I've heard people sort of like crap on him a little bit. And I've always and just kind of the way he looks too, I kind of expected for maybe him to be a little smug, you know what I mean? Maybe a bit of a dick. But honestly, like when he started playing and stuff, I was like, oh, like this is actually like Jason centric. Like it's not a band that just has the name First Jason. Like this is a band about Jason. And it was really actually kind of cool. You know, it's a little cheesy and gimmicky, but that's kind of the point of it. It's very lighthearted and very like respectful in a way. So I right away thought it was pretty cool. And you know, some of the little songs are a little catchy and stuff, and he plays a guitar.
Yeah, dude, I mean, he's a good singer and a good guitar player. I mean, I think his lyrics could use a little work, because a lot of it's just very repetitive. It's just like, Jason is watching you, he sees everything you do. And he'll say that like a million times, and that's kind of like the gist of it. They're very simple songs, but I liked it. I mean, I think, you know, that's the type of music that I would play if I threw a Halloween party, if I was cool enough to do that or something like that. Because it's like horror music, and I think that's cool.
I didn't mind the music at all. I thought it was pretty fun. I really did. And we walked up and got to see him play and stuff like that. And it was pretty, I thought, I actually wish we would have stayed for the whole set and kind of, you know, got more sort of into it and listen to it, because I was just kind of just rolling my eyes at it at first, but then I was like, this is actually fun. It's a cool little gimmicky band thing, and I like it. I think that people got it twisted about him. Like I don't think that he's as, you know, capitalistic as you would think, where like I actually feel like there's some like heart in there, and it's like, you know, it's more respect, it's like respectful and like paying homage, and it's just fun. It's just a fun, you know, this guy's just like, how many songs can I write about Jason and in different ways? And it's like they're funny, they're fun and funny, you know. I think the what was our favorite one?
put on the mask to do the task.
No, it's put on the mask, take on the task.
Yeah.
Put on the mask, take on the task. Jason killed for mother.
Mother.
Jason
So good.
kills for mother. Dude, come on. It's fun. I really liked it, dude. I thought it was cool. Like, granted, I'm not like a big rock or metal fan or anything, so I couldn't tell you what real of any of those music sound like, you know. I listened to a lot of the classic, you know, 70s and 80s rock and stuff like that. Clearly it's not that, but I mean, for a gimmick band, I'd say it's pretty damn good for a gimmick band.
I agree, and I think that he is a proud guy, you know? He's proud that he played that role, but not in the way where he's sitting there like, yeah, I did that. It's
Right.
like in the way I could see myself being like this. If I played like a little girl in some popular horror movie, I would definitely grow up and still be like, yeah, that's me. Look, Mom, that's me on the screen. Like, I would just forever love that, and I think he's just so happy that he did that, and it's like a big part of his life.
I think I would be extremely humble. Like, if I ever, you know, did something crazy, like got a streaming network to pick up like a horror host or something, I would probably never even mention it.
Buddy.
What?
Yeah, we'll get into that later, what you
so
Rose.
Anyway, he finished up his set. He went back to his table and was signing things. We went and grabbed our VHSs of Friday the 13th. I picked that because I have a bunch of Friday stuff. Like, I have like Friday 7 poster, you know, actually I have 2 Friday 7 posters and I have a new Friday 8 poster, a Jason Goes to Hell poster.
You do have a lot of posts.
And I have some, I have different Friday editions. I have DVD editions, Blu-ray. Had the box set have been out, I probably would have got him to sign that, honestly, but that hasn't came out yet, the new Scream Factory box set. So I was like, you know what, I actually had a Laserdisc too that I forgot about, but the Laserdisc actually is like, it has a rip in it, and it's like right on the cover, so it's not really the nicest. But I decided to go with the classic Friday the 13th VHS because why not? I mean, I feel like that's a nice display piece. It's, you know, childhood memories and stuff like that. So
yeah, I did the same thing pretty much. I went with the Friday the 13th VHS that I've had as a kid. The first time I watched the movie was on this VHS, and the tape I have is actually different. It's not that classic cover with, you know, the black silhouettes and the campers in it. It's actually red, and you know, I don't know if I posted it on my Facebook and Instagram, but it's a silhouette, but it's like a red body silhouette, and it looks like a man holding a knife. And I brought that. I never really see that anywhere, and I'm glad I brought that because he was like blown away by it. He was like, "What is this ancient artifact? Like, where did you get that?" Like, he was like, "That looks like Michael Myers. Like, doesn't that look like Michael Myers on there?" And it was just very, very cool. I don't even know if that tape works still, honestly. I remember as a kid watching it a lot, and then one day it wasn't playing, and that I'm curious now if it was the VHS player or the tape. I'm kind of afraid to put it in the VHS player, but either way, I enjoy getting tapes signed because I feel like that gives them a purpose more so. You know, if you're not going to watch them a lot, it's fun to just have a collection of signed VHS tapes, and that's kind of what I'm collecting at this point.
And honestly, the tape, like the cover is, you can have the cover forever, right? Like the tape, even if the tape messes up, you can get a new tape and have the cover. Something cool about VHS and the retro quality of it. And so we walk up to his table, and right away, let me just say, like, super inviting, right? Like, super inviting, just a very welcoming, like, hey, what's up, guys? Like, just a cool, warm embrace, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Yeah, he just walked on over. He didn't even have, like, his own personal manager or anything. He was just, like, running his own little table there with his CDs and shirts and whatnot. And, yeah, he was ridiculously friendly right off the bat. He was kind of, like, talking to us before he even asked what we wanted signed, and I appreciate that.
He actually started talking about Corey, because Friday 4 was playing first, and he started talking about Corey Feldman and telling stories of what he had heard Ted, because I'm sure he has like, he had a pretty big communications with the other Jasons. They've done conventions with, all the Jasons and stuff like that, and group photos and stuff like that. So I'm sure he was kind of like, had some conversations, but he was telling stories that Ted White had told him on Friday 4, and how much of a little brat Corey Feldman was and stuff like that. But it was non-mean-spirited at all. Like, he was just like, he would just seem like really, like, I don't know, it seemed very genuine. And he asked us like what we wanted signed, and we gave him the poster and the thing. And I was like, how much for this? And he's like, I'll do 20 for both of them. And a picture. And I was like, really? I was like, are you sure, man? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, let me buy a CD from you then. And I think I said, I gave him the tapes, and I asked him if I could buy a CD too, and if he'd sign it and stuff. And he said 20 for, both of our signings.
20 for both signings and the CD, and he signed the CD for you too.
And the picture.
And then I bought a shirt too, because the shirts are cool. So it was like $40 total, because the shirts were like $20, but I bought the first Jason shirt. So he but it was a very like nice feeling, because like we went up and it was like everything's so about money now with those, and I understand, they're working, so it's cool. I'm cool with that. Do I think the prices are like insane sometimes? Yeah, but at the same time, I don't mind that these people can make a living after their acting career with their name. Like, I think it's cool. I don't frown upon it at all. But the way that he kind of was like, it didn't have set prices, and he kind of just was like, he just made a deal with him, like, and he just seemed like he didn't seem like he really like it was all about the money. It was like, sure, I'll give you, like he just offered to sign stuff for, the $20 and the CD, and then you bought the shirt, and he, signed 3 items, a t-shirt and a CD and a picture for $40. And that's 2 people too, it's not 40 each, that was 40 total. Right, yeah.
So I just thought that was really, really dope.
I had heard him when we were in line, or maybe over somewhere else. I had overheard him telling someone like, yeah, it's not about the money really, like something like that. Like, he's just here for the fun of it. And then even when we were like in line, he like got behind those people who were just taking a casual photo, and they didn't know he was behind them. And he got in their photo. So like, they just have a free photo with him. I mean,
you always expect these convention goers to be like sort of jaded and like just, like, I'm just doing this for the money type thing. But it's refreshing to see that like he was having, and it's fine to do it for the money. Don't get me wrong. Like, I really do think that there are people out there who hate that. I don't see a problem with that. It's like any other job, right? Like, it's a job. You're doing a job. You just happen to be liked enough that people want to pay to meet you. But if you're working your job, and like nobody would be like, you don't deserve that much money to do this. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not how it works. So, but it is refreshing to see people actually having fun with it. Something about that. It makes you feel good about the whole situation. It makes me want to give them money, right? If somebody's there and they're like miserable and just seem like they're there for the paycheck and to make as much money as possible, and some people just seem like they're only interested in talking about themselves and don't really care what you have to say too.
Right.
I think that, when you see these people that are actually having fun and interacting with people, going out of their way to interact with people, it's really fun. So that was a very pleasant experience, and I was happy to do it. And honestly, like, I never really cared about Ari. What was his last name? Lamb?
It's like Lehman. I don't know how you say it.
I never really honestly cared about him that much, because he was the kid Jason. He doesn't even look like that anymore, you know what I mean? But now I'm a fan. I'm a fan of First Jason. First Jason is a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, it's all about the personality, you know? It's like meeting like just becoming friends with someone, kind of. I mean, it's not about how famous they are. I mean, and I think it's cool to have met him, because, I mean, that scene in Friday the 13th when he jumps out is one of the scariest memories of my childhood. It, you know, terrified me. So now it's like I can watch that and be like, wow, I actually met that guy, and he signed my old VHS tape. So that was awesome. It put me in a good mood for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
And then we watched the moves.
Yeah, and the thing about meeting people, and it still doesn't lose its... I mean, I haven't met that many people. Some people I've met that I didn't really have a personal attachment to, like Jill Sholin. Met her and then became a fan. Like, I just thought she was, you know, whatever before. I didn't think she was like a bad... I mean, I thought she was good, but I just didn't have an opinion, like a strong opinion about her, because I just didn't grow up with her movies.
Yeah.
But then, except for The Stepfather, I did watch The Stepfather a lot growing up.
Right.
But then you meet someone like Ari or Joe Bob or something, and it's like I can't get it out of my head that, like, dude, I watched them on my screen as a kid. Like, I never like, if I, you know, it's one of those things like, well, like, if you told me that you're gonna meet her in 20 years or whatever, or him, it just would have been like a weird thing, you know. You just never expect it. But so that still has that effect on me, and I'm happy. I think that people that go to a ton of conventions and meet a ton of people, they eventually lose that effect, but I'm happy it still exists. Like, when we met Tom Atkins, I was like, dude, like, this is Tom Atkins. Like, I watched this dude in so many movies, and he's right in front of me. Like, I'm meeting him. Like, that's pretty cool. And like, to my regular, you know, friends and family and stuff like that, who don't really they don't really know about conventions and anything like that, to them it's like, wow, that's crazy, you like met that person, you know what I mean? Like, they almost like wonder, like, think that it's like this random occurrence, like that you can't go out and like find a way to meet people, but it's like they just like that you saw them at Walmart or something, you know. So yeah, that was dope. So we go back, we watch the movies. Friday 4 on, I think it was 35 millimeter. Yeah, it definitely was, because it wasn't like the best quality. And yeah, you know, it's my favorite Friday. I finally got to see it at the drive-in on the big screen, which was pretty cool. I think that it has like some of the funnest characters, with the Ted and Chris Winklever's character.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as big on Friday 4 as other people, but I think it was a great one to see in the drive-in setting. And yeah, it wasn't the best quality print. In fact, I think that's the one that like burned up for a second, and like we thought it was destroyed, and not, but then it came back on. But I enjoyed watching it. The atmosphere was really good for that movie, so that was fun. We actually, I think, didn't we watch that and then we went and met Ari? Is that how that went?
Oh yeah, that is how.
Yeah, it was like during the first intermission, but so yeah, that was a cool one to start out with.
Yeah, it's I really love like the Tad, where's the corkscrew? I love that part, and I just like, I don't know, to me that one just always feels like the most Friday to me.
Watching it this time, I realized like this one actually was one that I grew up with and was scared by in some parts, like the part where the girl is under the water and she pretends to be dead. I remember being a kid and thinking that was scary because I thought it was real, and then the end when he gets demasked. Buddy, you thought something really stupid once. What was it? Phantasm. You thought that you were like, wow, how'd they get them to be young or something in part 4 again?
Yeah, that wasn't scared of it though.
You just said I'm a dumb kid, but I'm telling you the dumb thing that you thought. You were dumb. Anyway, but it does have scary moments, like the demasking of Jason, and I used to think it was scary when, you know, Corey Feldman shaves his head and he looks all messed up at the end. So I do like part 4. I feel like I undervalue it, but I do like it.
Yeah, I always resonated with part 4 because as a kid, it was like I inserted myself in the movie with Corey Feldman because he was a kid and he was into video games and horror stuff, and I was into video games and horror stuff, and like he took, like, normally in horror movies, like, the kids are powerless, like they're just there, is to be like to up the stakes. But like Corey Feldman like takes it into his hand. He kills Jason.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's pretty crazy. Like, I always like felt like I could be the Corey Feldman in a horror movie if something happened, like. So, and when he was like looking at the naked chicks across the street and he was like jumping on his bed like all excited, dude, I totally like had like, I could totally relate to those like same vibes of like, oh shit, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I've always loved
naked women.
Yeah, that, but I also always loved Friday 4. So It's fantastic. It's probably like a 9.5 for me. It's up there. I think it's the best one.
Yeah, it is a good one. I give it what?
And when that guy's telling her that Jason's killing him is like horrifying.
Yeah, that whole that is really creepy, and just watching it actually happen is really scary.
Yeah, that scene is actually severely underrated in terms of scares. Like that Jason's just in the basement with him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's dark as hell. That's scary.
Yeah, I mean, Jason's like actually scary and creepy to me. I mean, a lot of slasher movies, I don't watch them anymore because they're gonna actually scare me and make me have trouble sleeping. But I find Jason to be very terrifying still, and I like that I still feel that way. But I'd probably give that one an 8 out of 10.
Right.
So
then we move on to The Burning. So little bit of information with The Burning. The print it wasn't the print according to the projectionist. It was that the moon was so bright that night that it was, in the dark scenes, it was like making a glare on the screen you couldn't see. Like the dark scenes were like almost pitch black to me.
Yeah, there was one scene in particular that was super bad, and I believe the guy because I think the print actually looked rather decent until you got to that nighttime scene, and then I was like, wait a minute, like can't see anything, and it's the part where the girl and the guy are going swimming in the lake, and then he's kind of a dick, and then she like runs off. But yeah, so that made it a little hard to pay attention to. And honestly, I personally just watched this movie back in, I think, June, that was, for Movie versus Movie podcast. So that kind of sucked just because I watched it recently. But on the other hand, I mean, it's The Burning. It's not like a movie that I don't ever want to watch again. So still had a good time with it. It did take me out of it that it was dark at times, but that I felt like I paid a decent amount of attention to it.
Yeah, it's a movie that I've never been a huge fan of. I think it's a good slasher. It's definitely mid-tier slasher. Like, if Friday and Elm Street and Halloween and Texas Chainsaw or whatever are top tier, it's mid-tier, with the sleepaway camps and the Mad Men's and stuff like that. But I've always considered it just a poor man's Friday the 13th, or honestly Sleepaway Camp. I know some people would argue that The Burning's better, but it never was for me. I think I don't find the characters as interesting or likable or as entertaining. Cropsy's okay as a villain, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of him either. I do like Jason Alexander. I think that's kind of what this one's known for a little bit. He's probably the best character in there. The kills are there's some good ones, and I think that the raft scene is like often heralded as like one of the best slasher sequences, but I've always found it incredibly overrated. I think that it's not Savini's best work. I think that there's way better effects for him out there. It's just cool because there's that many kills in that quick of seconds, So
yeah, dude, I completely agree with all of that. It felt, this one out of all the camp movies feels the most Friday the 13th, but it's not a Friday the 13th movie. And I do like the score in the movie. I think the score is pretty cool. But I agree, the raft scene is good, but it's just, okay, he's like cutting them, there's blood everywhere. It's not that gory in my opinion, but
I just think the effects are a little rough around the edges too, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I'm like at a 7 on the Burning.
I think I may have gave it 7.5, 7. I might give it a 7 too. I think I'll give it a 7.5 though, because I do like it.
Then you need to bump Friday 4 to an 8.5 at least.
I do not.
That's crazy.
I shall not.
Okay, so the third and final feature of the night was
Death Valley.
Death Valley.
Yes, which I had never seen before, and unfortunately I was getting rather tired by the end of the night, so feel like I didn't give that one like the fair share of attention that I wish I would have, because I was actually very much into it at the beginning, and then I kind of was getting into that zoning out tired feeling throughout it. But from what I saw, I enjoyed it quite a bit. That's definitely one that I would like to pick up on Blu-ray or whatever and watch it at home by myself again.
Right, so Death Valley, I've always liked it. I've seen it twice, I think. Did it come out in 82?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, because I remember prepping for 82 and I watched that. And it was like, kind of just that, like in the top 20, just outside the top 20 area for me. It's a good movie. I remember Scream Factory released the Blu-ray. When that just came out, I remember watching it and really liking it. It's a cool film. It's basically like a road horror slasher in a desert, which is pretty cool. And the kid from Christmas Story, Ralphie, is the lead in it, and he made this right before. He looks exactly the same. It's so funny. I think he even has the glasses, so he looks exactly the same. But he is, very likable. There's like some really funny stuff with the stepfather, trying to like win him over, and it just does. It is like falling flat every time, and that stuff is really funny. The Wilford Brimley's in it.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And Catherine Hicks, is that her name?
Catherine Hicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty good cast, very likable movie. The story is kind of crazy, it goes in a weird direction, but I've always liked it. I think it's a pretty good movie. I think I'm at like a 7.5 on that one.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.5 as well. I like it. I want to watch it again because I love the desert setting. That's one of my favorite settings in horror.
The Blu-ray looks really good too. I don't know if was that 35? I can't remember. It looked really good. I know that.
Yeah, I don't remember either. It definitely looked better than the other movies, but I don't know.
So then we left. We stayed for all 3 movies. We went home to our hotel, or we drove to a motel. We got a motel because our discount that we normally use was kind of not in effect from COVID, so we had to pay for 3 nights in a motel and a hotel. It's a lot of money in that area, you know what I mean, for actually it's hard to even find one in that area, so the drive plus the money just really wasn't worth it for us. We figured we would risk grossness.
The thing is, like, with this Camp Blood event, you're allowed to actually literally camp there. A lot of people bring tents and whatnot and set them up in the back, and it's a big party for them. But I just know, me personally, if we did that, we would fight the whole time because I would be in such a bad mood, and I would feel disgusting. The camping all I have is porta potties there, so not being showered or like having a good bathroom and sleeping out in the cold, that's just not at all anything I'm really into. So, because we almost did just settle and do that at first, but I was like, no, I shall get a sketchy motel, and that is where we shall sleep.
You know what? Like, I used to camp a lot when I was a kid. Like, not even kid with the family, but like a teenager. Like, we used to go camp. Me and my friends used to go camping a lot. Like, we'd go out and, you know, drink and camp. And it never bothered me to not have like a shower and stuff like that. But like now, like, I don't know. I guess it's because there's like a bunch of people there and stuff, and like it's just like I want to look okay and not gross, you know. So maybe that has something to do with it. But I don't mind camping. I just don't want to camp and be in an event. If I'm camping, I want to be like in the woods. Camping.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And also, when you're a kid, you don't necessarily have to, like, you're not gonna worry about being clean all the time. I mean, I know I was like dirty all the time as a kid, but as an adult I just feel so gross so easily now that I need to have my like hair, like I just need everything washed. And like yeah, I agree. If we went camping in the woods and we were prepared with a tent and everything, I might be down for it, but for this, right. I shall stay in a motel that is like vacancy.
We used to think about camping at Vandergrift, but I would never do that now. It's such a quick drive home, dude.
Yeah, just drive home and sleep in your bed.
Yeah. So what else? So we got to the motel, and honestly, when we first got there, it was a little sketch, and I was like, man, this feels like vacancy. And it was one of those like one floor like Bates Motel vacancy motels, you know what I mean, along the highway. And we went in the room, and honestly, it kind of smelled a little. It was
also in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't like
right. It kind of smelled a little musty when we first went in, and I was like fearing the worst because, you know, as someone who worked in hotels, like I know where to look to see how clean it is and stuff like that, and I know what signs to look for you know, bed bugs and gross stuff. And honestly, I was kind of surprised. It was a relatively clean spot, and it was, you know, it wasn't anything luxurious or anything, but it was minus the one burn hole in the pillow case. It was relatively clean.
Yeah, there weren't really, from what I saw, there weren't like stains all over the sheets. Bathroom looked like it was clean, so I was all right with it.
In fact, when I think about it, we've actually had worse experiences in Hilton properties.
Yeah, dude, you're right. Like, we've had,
like, the very first one we stayed at, there you had blood on your sheets.
Yeah, wasn't there like a snot on the shower curtain? That might have been like a different one actually from last year. That was last year. Yeah. Like,
yes. So I mean, this was actually the cleanest one we've been to, probably. No, that one was really clean too. The one with like the two rooms, like it had a living room and a full kitchen and stuff. That one was really clean.
Even that one though, I remember the door had like
behind the door there was like a splatter.
Yeah, it was gross, but it just goes to show, guys, like, it doesn't matter where you really stay. It depends on the housekeeping and how serious they are about keeping up on that. I mean, you know, this motel obviously was a bit run down, like it felt very outdated, and the bathtub, you know, some of the caulking, like it could have been done or improved, but other than that, I mean, it was clean, and that's all that matters to me. I just don't want there to be spiders and cobwebs everywhere. So
honestly, if I don't care how clean you think your hotel is, as somebody who's been in the industry for, you know, approaching a decade, I could tell you, like, I could pretty much go to any hotel and pick it apart and have enough to get a service recovery, if, you know, I was that guy. But just because, like, knowing the ins and outs and where to look and different things that are common and stuff, like, I just have more knowledge. But yeah, so I was actually quite happy with it. We got up the next day. What time we wake up? Noonish?
Yeah, it was about noon.
Yeah. And we decided to go to eat. We ate an Asian food, which in hindsight was probably not the best idea. We didn't really think of it at the time, but yeah, so hopefully we don't get sick or anything.
They did give us gloves.
They did give us gloves.
Use.
So yeah, that was okay. I wasn't really impressed with it at all. It was cheap, so whatever. We kind of just did that because that's what we normally do the first day, and I really wasn't thinking of it. I would have it would have made sense to go somewhere else, but we just like had routine at that point and didn't really think of it too deeply.
Yeah, honestly, dude, we need to start like exploring like
different
some cool little like mom and pop type places when we go to these places.
Yeah, we really do. Like we really are dropping the ball on that, but next time we'll try to map it out a little better. So then we decided to, we wanted to go back around 6:00, and it's probably like 1 p.m. So we're like, well, what the hell are we gonna do for this amount of time? And I remembered that there was an AMC in a town that was like, that we actually stayed in before. It was like really close to it. Last year, we stayed in a town that was close to this town. But this time where we stayed, it was like an hour away from this town. It's Allentown. But it was like an hour away. But we were like, well, we don't really have anything else to do, so let's drive there again. And we decided to go to the AMC theater that was there, which is a very nice AMC, honestly. I think it's probably nicer than the Waterfront in a certain way. The Waterfront might be a little bit nicer in terms of like how cool it looks inside, but I just like the design and stuff of this one.
Yeah, it's very colorful. It looks like it's brand new almost. I don't know if that's true or if they like had recently updated it in the recent years, but I like it. I'm kind of jealous, it's not around us. It's always it's been chill. Actually, we go there all the time, but like the 2 times we've been there, there's been like no one.
Yeah, because
really
last year we did the same thing. We went and saw a movie before we went and saw movies, and it was Good Boys.
Yeah, and that movie sucked.
It was disappointing, it was, but this time we went and saw Unhinged, starring
Russell
Crowe.
Yeah, and that was not disappointing.
No, I really liked it, man. That movie was really intense. So yeah, it follows a woman who's kind of down on her luck. What does she do? A salon. She does beauty, like a salon.
Yeah, I think she goes to people's houses and like has clients.
Does their hair or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a single mother. Her brother and his fiance lives with her. She's divorced, going through a nasty divorce. And her husband wants to take her for more stuff and things like that, and she's having a really bad day. She's late, woke up late, she has a crappy car. Her neighbor just got a brand new car, and she's just kind of feeling her life suck right now. She's gonna taking her son to school. He's gonna be late again, which he's gonna get another tardy slip, which means he has to do detention or something. And she's in, is it LA?
I think so.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it might be LA, but she's in, crazy traffic, and she decides to take the highway, and it's even worse. And then she ends up taking, the back roads or whatever. And then there's the light turns green, and the truck in front of her isn't moving, so she starts laying on her horn, flipping out and stuff. And this dude, honestly, you know who he kind of reminded me of? John Goodman could have played that part.
I was when I was watching it, he kind of looks like him in a way.
Yeah, it's weird, huh?
I thought the same thing. Yeah, and he acts, it reminds me of like John Goodman in 10 Cloverfield Lane or something, where he's like really sweet, then all of a sudden he just like becomes unhinged.
Yeah. So the dude is in a big truck. They do a good job like using that truck for intimidation. Like it's a big truck, and it feels like intimidating. And he rolls up on him, and he like tells the son to roll down his window, and he's like, basically says, he's like, yeah, I couldn't help but notice, like, you honked at me really hard, and I'm sure what you meant to do was give a courtesy tap. And he's like, you know what a courtesy tap is? It's where you go bum 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 bum, like, beep like softly to just like alert the person that the light turned green.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, I didn't. I meant to give you a thing. And dude, he flips shit at this, and basically it's like a cat and mouse thing. He's just ruining her life, killing people around her, kidnapping people around her. all that stuff until the final. Very intimidating. It kind of went in places where I honestly didn't expect. Like, there was some things happen that I didn't expect. And, you know, it's like right away there's like an all-out manhunt for this guy in the city. So I can see where people are saying, like, you know, it's unrealistic and stuff like that. But I do like that right away, like, the whole world pretty much knows who this guy is. You know what I mean? So it's like not hidden. So I don't know. I could see where people are coming from, where like the poor character decisions and stuff like that. But honestly, I didn't mind it. I was like just down for the ride.
Also, it's like it takes place in one day. It's not like weeks at a time are going by and this guy's still on the loose. He's just, and he's well aware that he's gonna get caught. He's just like, I don't got nothing to lose. Like, he has become unhinged. He's just like, I'm gonna ruin this girl's day because I've had a bad life, and this is kind of his like. I think he's very aware that he's like gonna go down for it. So yeah, I agree. It's unrealistic at times, but I just didn't care. It was
at one point he even says like suicide by cop sounds good to me.
Right. Yeah. And it was a lot more violent and almost few like action-packed type stuff going on in it than I was expecting. Like,
yeah,
just
because
with violence.
of the violence level, I'm actually considering this a horror film for the year.
And there's like just some major wreckage and stuff like that going on. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a good time. It was really intense and honestly kind of brutal at times. Really brutal at times. So yeah, we really both liked that. Thought it was good performances. Pretty good move. And then we were like, okay, so we could have saw The Tenet, Fincher's new movie, but it's 2.5 hours and we wouldn't have had enough time. So the only other thing that was playing that gave us enough time was what was it called?
The personal history of David Copperfield.
Right. So I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is like a drama on David Copperfield, the magician. You know, that's the only David Copperfield I know. So I was like, oh, this will be cool. But in my own head, I was thinking of Harry Houdini, which I've seen like some stuff on before, and I've always thought he was like super fascinating and stuff. So I'm like, cool, like a Houdini documentary or like dramatization. I was like, this is gonna be fun. And like, so not only did I think of the wrong magician when I read the name David Copperfield, but it actually isn't that David Copperfield. It's not him at all. This is actually based on a book by Charles Dickens, and it's kind of like a little fantasy, not super fantasy, but there's a hint of fantasy to it. But it is a story of a young boy whose mother marries kind of a douchebag. He works at a bottle factory, and he grows up, and he's in poverty. But then he gets success, and then he gets poverty again. And you hated it.
Oh, sorry, I took a nap. Dude, yeah, there's nothing like. I feel like you tricked me. I feel like you knew.
No, I didn't. I really didn't.
I wanted to see David Copperfield do magic.
Me too.
But yeah, I was not a big fan. I mean, it was you guys know I don't like my period pieces, and there's nothing worse than a period piece that's not even horror. I mean, it's it was a comedy drama. There was only like one part that actually made me laugh.
Dude, there was a really funny part
with the thing with the mother. That was like the one part that was funny to me. But yeah, it just was not the type of movie I would ever willingly choose to say like, hey, I'm having a good day, I'm gonna go check out this film. I mean, I just wasn't a big fan. I don't think it was a bad movie. It was just not at all the genre that I would like. And F. Charles Dickens, because he wrote Great Expectations as well, which I had to read in 9th grade, and that book was extremely boring. Much like this book probably is too, because it's just nothing's happening. It's just a dude's life.
Yeah, Christmas Carol's really good though.
I don't know if did he write that?
I think Charles Dickens.
Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens. Charles Boringins is what his name should be, because screw him. What have you wrote? Yeah, he did write A Christmas Carol. But yeah, he wrote Great Expectations, and I hated it.
Christmas Carol is classic material. It's a good story.
Yeah, okay, whatever. But like everything else, he wrote A Tale of Two Cities, and that's like classic too, I guess. And Oliver Twist. Okay, whatever. I don't like him.
Yeah, so it was alright. I didn't love it, but I liked it way more than you. I actually was into the movie the whole time.
I was like falling. I was trying to take a nap.
I felt like you didn't believe me that I actually was like watching it and into it.
I didn't. You kept doing good move.
Yeah, I was just messing with you.
Yeah, you were messing with me, so I thought it was a joke.
No, I actually liked it. Like, I thought it was alright.
Alright, dude. Well, alright. I mean, it was whatever. I mean, we had to kill time. We didn't want to just, like... There's a mall nearby, but I kind of thought, like... I don't want to just walk around a mall for, like, 2 hours and...
Yeah, with COVID and stuff, so, yeah. We went and
it is a pretty...
instead.
But...
So, yeah, after that, we drove back to the thing. We passed this sweet little mini golf course, and we're like, we should do that tomorrow. More on that later. So we went to the thing, we parked, and we were there actually later. The second we planned on being there even earlier, and we got there later than the 5-hour drive because we just suck at stuff. But so we get there, and I'm like, okay, let's see here, where shall we park? They direct us to park, and I'm like, this is a horrible spot. This guy next to us, there was a spot in front of him that he didn't take, and it was like too small to squeeze in there, and it was a better spot. We got stuck behind a stupid truck, and I was just mad. I was like, this is annoying. Like, I'm mad. Like, what? Like, this is horrible, stupid idiots. I was pissed. But I didn't feel like moving, and I just got over it eventually.
Yes, you were pretty mad. I was just kind of like, whatever. But,
yeah. So we decided we should go get in Felicia's line, because it was a little longer than the night before. So we get in Felicia's line, and it's pretty long. It's way longer than the day before, and it's about 7:10, 7:15 or something like that, I think. And literally, like, I started noticing it was going to take long, and you guys didn't see this, but I looked up when we first got in there, and there was a guy in a younger person in a blue Camp Blood shirt, and I'm not joking, 35 minutes went by, and it was the same person standing there. Like, you guys didn't notice it, but I told you, I was like, dude, that guy has been there forever.
Yeah.
And there was this other dude in line, and then these two chicks that were kind of with us, and I'm not joking. Like, at one point it starts getting dark, and Sleepaway Camp starts about to play, and the guy that was in line with us made a joke, and he's like, right when it started, he's like, or it might have been like 10 minutes into it, he's like, he made a joke that he's like, this is probably going to take the whole length of the movie or something, you know what I mean? And like, boy, do I have something in store for him, because we watched the entire Sleepaway Camp film in line.
Yeah, we were in line literally until I think 11 p.m.
Yeah.
So, like,
3 hours.
Legit, yeah, 3 hours of standing there. Luckily, you know, I bought a little portable radio just specifically for driving, so I went and got that so that we could hear the audio better on Sleepaway Camp. And honestly, though, I thought it was
the funnest part for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, standing in line with a bunch of people waiting to meet Felissa Rose while watching Sleepaway Camp. I mean, we had good view of the screen, closer than our seats actually, and it wasn't cold because we were like standing and moving around and stuff like that. And you know, we started talking to the people behind us and stuff, and we kind of developed a little bit of a, you know, line friendship. And the coolest part, well, before this happened, we we're all just talking, having fun and stuff like that. And one of the workers came over and asked us to be quiet because the people behind us are trying to enjoy the movie. And we all just, of course, was like, yeah, okay. But dude, come on.
Yeah, it was funny because after that happened, like it became like an ongoing joke. There was people standing in front of us too, making fun of it. People dressed in Camp Arawak attire, and they were like, like the intermission started playing, and the hot dog thing came up, and the guy behind us, he's like, I'm trying to watch this hot dog on the screen. Can you keep it down, please? And like it was just like became this ongoing joke in the line because
everybody brought up like little.
Like, I'm trying to listen to this music. Can you keep it down? Like,
I'm trying to read the credits.
Yeah.
I even said some funny jokes in that line. I don't remember them, but I know I said some funny stuff.
No, I don't think anything was said by you, but
Oh yeah, I remember that kid being a pretty good beekeeper.
Shut up, dude. You said that.
But yeah, so I was like, come on, dude. Like, I understand if we're in a theater, we're literally in a big open field. You know what I mean?
Watching a film that came out like over 30 years ago.
Yeah. Are you telling me you've never seen Sleepaway Camp? Come on, get in your goddamn car then.
Yeah.
And watch it in your car where it's soundproofed. Like, we're just trying to have fun standing in line for 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. It was stupid, but I'm glad everyone was making fun of it. But
at the same time, like, we were all bitching about the line taking forever, but in all honesty, like, it wasn't bad. It was fun because we got to watch the movie with a bunch of people that we didn't know. And also, you could hear people's excitement and Felicia's excitement when she was meeting each person. Mm-hmm. And then the coolest part happened towards the end of the movie, when the big reveal happens. Felicia actually came out from her tent and stood like right in front of me and you and like the people we were in line with and watched the end of the movie with us.
Yeah, she like ran over and she's like, I'm gonna watch the ending with you guys because I feel so bad you've stood here. And she was also like, I've never seen this on the big screen, this big moment. So, yeah, I mean, it was epic. That was awesome. She was literally so cool. Right in front of like us too. Yeah. It wasn't anyone else. Like she was.
Yeah, she came like right in front of us. Yeah, and she turned around and talked to us a couple times and stuff like that. And then she did this cool thing at the end where she's like, this is all possible because of you guys and stuff like that. And she's like, you guys are the most important aspect to this and stuff. And it just made you feel good, it made you feel like you were part of something. And how much we love this genre in the movies, and we're sitting here podcasting and all that, and it's just really cool, so to see her kind of give it up to us and stuff, I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was probably my favorite part. And we didn't mention the people behind us turned out to be
right. So the people behind us, it was so bizarre because I thought I heard the girl she mentioned that, like, because they were talking about different events that they were going to. And I heard her mention that, like, her drive-in has played, like, a few horror things since COVID, like Lost Boys and Beetlejuice and Friday and Elm Street and stuff like that. And I was like, I know those are common titles, but, like, our drive-in played those. You know what I mean? We went to those. And honestly, the whole time I was staring at her, I thought she looked familiar. Like, not familiar as in, like, someone I knew, but, like, literally someone I'd seen walking down the street or something, just some image of someone that you had seen before. And then we started asking each other where we were from and stuff, and I'm, we said like we're like 45 minutes south of Pittsburgh and stuff like that or whatever, and they didn't really hear me because they were talking or something about something else. But then the girl, you heard her mention
Brownsville Drive-In.
And you were like, wait, did you say Brownsville Drive-In? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, we're from Brownsville. Like, we live in Brownsville. And she lives in Uniontown, which is like, we were
19,
there today.
Yeah, it's like 19 minutes away. It's the town that we pretty much all go to because there's nothing around here. So
Right. So literally, like, what are the chances? So not only is there horror fans in Uniontown, but then they drove 6 hours or 5 hours or 4.5 hours for them, I guess, to this place, Mahoning, but also that they ended up in line right behind us.
Right, yeah.
And then not only that, but that we talked to them enough to find out where they lived. And they live like a stone's throw from us. And we go to the same drive-in in Brownsville, and we actually went to the same movies a few times.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was incredibly cool. Super cool, man. It was really neat. I was very, very happy that it was just such a cool moment. You know, it made that whole standing in line thing even cooler, you know?
Yeah, and it's cool to just see other people driving, because it always feels like you and I are the weirdos driving 5 hours away to go to a drive-in, but really, you know, they're doing it and other people are doing it. There was a lot of New Jersey license plates, but New Jersey's legit an hour away from there, so that makes a little more sense. It's just so cool, you know? So many people come from all these different areas, and Pittsburgh, you know, they come from Pittsburgh, and then I know people who go to Mahoning, sometimes they'll venture out the Pittsburgh area to go to the Riverside. Like, those are like the two big drive-ins in PA that happen to be on opposite sides of the state, but, you know, you'll have the occasional same people making the hike back and forth to each of them. But
yeah. So we watched Sleepaway Camp in line. Of course, Sleepaway Camp is a classic. Definitely has increasingly, you know, penetrated my top list of all time. Like, it's a film that I truly love, like, every second of that movie, man.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's probably in my top 10 at this point.
Yeah, it's just one that to me gets better with each viewing, and then this experience made me like it even more, you know what I mean, because watching it with Felissa Rose, watching it with a bunch of people, you know, then meeting Felissa afterwards, it's a fantastic movie. Yeah, of course it has blemishes and flaws. It's not like perfect movie at all, but that ending, dude, one of the best ever in horror, and scary too. Mm-hmm. I actually, I think I might have told this story. Yeah, I think I told this story last week, actually, where I told you my friend, I was staying at his house, and his little brother, me and him watched Ice Cream Man and the Sleepaway Camp together. After we met Felissa and we got a picture, I sent him a picture. I was like, dude, do you remember that movie that we watched? No, he's not like a horror fan or anything, so he wouldn't know it really. That movie we watched that one time where, you know, the killer at the end was a girl, but she was a boy. And he was like, yeah, it was Camp something. And I was like, he's like, I want to rewatch that. And I was like, yeah, well, check this out. And I sent him a picture of me, Carly, and Felissa. And I was like, that's the girl from the movie. And he like flipped. He was like, man, that's so cool. And then I sent him the one with Ari. And then I also, he asked me what I was doing. I was like, you know, at this thing. And he said it sounded really cool. He's like straight Halloween vibes, bro. And I was like, yeah, for sure, man. And so yeah. So then what happened?
Then we kept saying, one day we shall meet Felissa Rose.
I kept saying that.
Yes, we both kept saying that.
That was one of my funnies.
I said that first. And then short enough, we met Felissa Rose.
Right.
Who would have known?
And when we went into it, we didn't. There actually had been for probably a solid hour. It was like me, Carly, that dude we met, and then those two girls, and that's it in the line. Like we were the end of the line. And I would say after about an hour, like the line had formed even further back from us. And then by like hour 3, it was like, you know, a pretty lengthy line behind us.
Right.
So we didn't want to take too long, honestly. I didn't. I don't know. Like I just went in. Sleepaway Camp was ranked at 27 on my top 50 list. I can guarantee it's higher now. It's top 20.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to be kind of quick, but you know, we met her. She signed. I got her to sign my Scream Factory Sleepaway Camp poster, which was hanging on my wall. It shall be back on my wall. Pretty excited about that. You got her to sign your Survival Kit box set.
Yes.
And then we just talked to her for a couple minutes. She, you know, I told her. She said she was texting Joe Bob because I mentioned how I like, you know, how she's on the show and stuff. It's like the dick expert. And she, told us that she was actually texting him and stuff like that. And he was actually going to try to come or whatever. He ended up not coming, as far as I know. But, yeah, I think he was actually in talks to be part of that, but he just, like, didn't get back to him or something like that.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, it was cool.
Yeah, and you made sure you mentioned that you tried to get Joe Bob back on Shudder or something like that, I think. Yes, you told her that. But yeah, she was also ridiculously nice. I mean, she was apologizing for the line. She was like, "Did you watch that whole movie in the line?" And we were like, "Yeah." And she was like, "I'm so sorry." And then she's like, "I love you." Like, she kept telling us that she loved us and like saying thank you so much for being here and thank you and thank you. And it was like just super
she
welcoming.
actually asked us for a picture. She's like,
I know.
She's
yeah,
like, "Can we get a picture together?" And I was like,
I felt like I was the famous one. Like I was like, it's weird.
Oh, dude, she was so sweet, man. Honestly, like, she's just a lovely human being.
Then we took the picture and she's like, "Yes, we did it. We did the Angela face. Okay, nice to meet." Like it was just, like, it was funny.
I couldn't be, like, I just don't know how these people do it, right? Like, because even if she is putting it on a little bit, like, to put it on that long, it's impossible. It's impossible for that many hours meeting the same, people. Like, you have to feel there's some genuine feelings behind the stuff she's saying, because I just don't think you could put it on that long. I know I couldn't. I would be a miserable bastard. Could you imagine if Jeremy was famous? Like, he would be like, people would be in line. He'd be like, he'd hear something. He'd be like, "Who's heavy side?" Out of the line. You know what? I'm done here.
They'd be like, "Oh, Jeremy, I loved you in this movie," and he'd be like, "Well, I mean, I was in that movie, so of course you fucking did. That movie. Like, why wouldn't? Like, I was in it. What do you mean? Like, just making people cry left and right."
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree. I
do you remember that time where I was like, "Man, I loved the Italian Horror Month. It was so much fun. Did you guys have fun?" And he was like, "Well, of course you had fucking fun. You're the one that fucking came up with it." And I'm like, "What the heck's wrong with you?"
Like, nothing he said. Like, it's just like straight misery all the time. But no, it's funny. Yeah, I feel like I could act like Felissa at the beginning, and then by the end, I would just be like, my smile would just completely crack, and I'd be wanting to cry. And plus, she's like up there in this dress the entire time, and it was freezing out, but she seemed like she was just having fun. Like, she enjoyed the actual event itself. So I thought that was just really cool.
That's what I was saying with her and freaking Ari, man.
Yeah.
But so we went and sat back down and we watched Funhouse, which that one was kind of dark too on the screen. I don't know if it was the Littlest Moon That Could that was making it too bright to see, but it was a little bright for me. I don't know. It was like, it's a genuinely dark movie anyway. But were you having trouble seeing it?
Yeah, I feel like I paid the least attention to that one, honestly. I think you and I, after we got our autograph, we went and got food too, so the movie had already started, and then all that, and then I had to use the restroom, so a lot of distractions, but I agree, it was very dark. I was having trouble seeing what was going on, which is unfortunate, because that was only my second time watching it, and I kind of wanted to pay attention to that one again, because I didn't care for it much the first time I saw it, so the whole purpose kind of got defeated. It
really feels like, something that I noticed this time while watching it is it really feels like a Hooper movie. Like, I never really got that grasp before, but it really does feel like a Tobe Hooper movie to me. Like, it feels like a cross between like Chainsaw and Eaten Alive to me. It fits right in that general territory of those type of films. I actually like it. I think it's a pretty fun movie. It's cool. It's creepy. I like the setting. It's it's good. I like it. But while we were watching it, Felissa was just going nuts over there. She was still having such a good time with everybody. Like the line was still going when Funhouse ended.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was signing stuff, and she took some funny pictures. I looked everywhere. We actually we moved our chairs up and we could see because they had this big like mock camp lake, crystal lake thing there, which was really cool. You know, it was like a little camp thing. Mm-hmm. With like a tent and like a dead body and like a axe and blood on the windows and Jason, you know, Crystal Lake sign and stuff, hockey mask and stuff. But yeah, it was cool. So we took a picture with her, and you know, then I kind of would glance over every once in a while and see what she was doing, and she was yeah, man, she was so nice, and it was just such a good experience. And then yeah, so the Funhouse, I'm at like a 7 on the Funhouse.
Me too. I gave it a 7 as well.
And then the final film of the night was Friday 7.
Yes, and I have to say I had a pretty darn good time with that one.
Yeah, I probably enjoyed that Friday 7 more than I had in years that time. Stuff that I was just watching and seeing on the big screen that didn't never really think of before. There's a lot of shots where the camera's like low to the ground and it's showing Jason pursue people, where before it always was like, I don't know, it didn't really look like that. You know, it was like you see his hand, or like it would show him, like part 6, it shows him walking from a side angle usually. But this one was like, you know, creepy, and Jason's just badass in this one. He's just so cool, and I love the final sequence where he's falling, the roof's falling on him, he's falling through stairs and getting hit, and his mask comes off and stuff, and ribs exposed and jaw exposed. The worst part of 7, honestly, is all the characters.
Yeah, all of them. I think it would have been a very good film if they were different, because Jason, it's probably honestly one of my favorite Jasons. I mean, even the shots from behind.
It's my favorite Jason.
The shots from behind where it's like his back and you see his spine and he's like soaking wet. It's like, that's terrifying. And then there's so many scenes where he's just in the woods chasing after people. That one always very much creeped me out as a kid. And but yeah, as an adult, I'm not a big fan of Tina. I'm not a big fan of her mom or the doctor or even the kids next door at the party. I think
the love interest is super lame. Mm-hmm. He's like, I was in Pittsburgh in a film with a bad crowd.
Just the most generic story. But...
yeah, and then the stupid bitch with the pearl necklace. She's annoying.
I hate that. Yeah, she's just annoying. Like, there's just no development that I care about.
I think
with
the only
characters.
stuff that I like is the weirdo with the like sci-fi fan fiction or something. You know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this one has like the weakest characters out of like all of them. So that's the only thing that brings it down for me. I mean, the Jason versus Carrie thing is super gimmicky, but it leads to fun stuff that we never seen before in a Friday film. I mean, you figure this is the damn 7th one, so you got to kind of do some interesting, fun stuff by this point. I love the beginning where he's like underwater and, you know, like from the end of part 6 and just like kind of rotted away a bunch, just waiting to be released. And then he still has the chain around his neck at the end, or throughout the rest of the movie and stuff. So pretty cool. I'm at a 7.5 on Friday 7.
I think that's what I gave it as well, 7.5. But yeah, I dug it. It was fun, and that was night number 2.
Yep, drove back to the motel, got showers, I threw on some videos or whatever, and then we went to sleep.
We did, and then next day we that kind of sucked because we accidentally woke up like at 9 a.m. Both of us. Mm-hmm. So we were spending like hours trying to go back to sleep. We ended up going to Wendy's really quick down the road, got some food, but I don't know, once I like get up and out of bed and then I'm like eating, I have a hard time falling back to sleep, more hard than I was having already. So you fell back to sleep for like maybe an hour, but I kind of just laid there and gave up. But it was okay. I mean, when we got in the car and started driving again, I was all right. But that is when we decided to attempt to go to that mini golf course we had passed.
Yeah, we didn't eat anything, did we?
We just had that Wendy's at the start, and then we didn't get anything.
Yeah, so
later.
we decided that we couldn't remember what the golf course was called or where it was located. So we searched a couple of them, and one kind of looked like it, so we picked that one. It wasn't it, unfortunately. It was actually kind of a little bit basic of a mini golf. But we went and did that, and I hadn't mini golfed it. I think I did the math. It was like 10 years. 15 years. 15 years I haven't mini golfed since.
Right. I go a lot because my friend Kaylee, she loves mini golfing, and she's always wanting to go on different mini golf adventures. Me, honestly, a lot of times I'm down to mini golf at first, but then by halfway through, I'm very burnt out on it. But for like this time, I think I had a fun time.
It's because of my competitive edge.
No.
So we made a bet. Whoever. We were going to take pizza this time to the drive-in, which I know you're not supposed to do, but we'd spent so much money on food there over the course of 2 days. We actually spent, lots of money. Like I probably bought like a total of 6 cheeseburgers in those 2 days for us, and a hot dog, and I bought a bunch of Cokes and all kind of stuff. So we were like, we need something cheaper. We spent a lot of money so far, so we were gonna just get Pizza Hut because it was on the way. Whoever lost had to buy the pizza. Right. And so, it started off good. I was in the lead, and then you started doing. You took over on the lead. And then you went and I took over back on the lead, and you started sucking real bad, and I cut you slack. And then it was, I thought I was handily in the lead. Like, I was like, okay, I'm way ahead, so I didn't try as hard. And I was like, you're gonna buy the so I'm not really worried about this. And then the last 3 holes, you were up 1 stroke on me each time.
What happened?
I counted the score and I lost by 5.
Right, and then what happened after that?
I still think you might have cheated.
Yes, but what did you have to buy?
The
Yes, you bought the Dude, you can't cheat at
No, dude, I think you were writing the scores wrong. I think you were giving me your score and me your score.
Dude, I'm not gonna cheat at mini golf. I even said, you know what? I feel bad. I shall buy the
Yeah, but, of course. You're trying to pity me.
No, dude. I just knew you were a little rusty.
I was going so easy on you because I thought I was so ahead.
Dude, you weren't going. There's no. It's just mini golf, bro. It's like if you hit it, it's every man for themselves. Like.
Yeah, but I let you restart and I let you count strokes.
I allowed you to do that.
Nobody.
Yes. But. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. The course was super basic. It was a very beautiful course, but it didn't have any obstacles, really. Like, every single one was very straightforward. So that was a little disappointing. But at the same time, we were kind of...
I had such a fun time doing it, though. To me, it was really fun. We both got a hole-in-one on the same course. And right before we got the hole-in-one, I was like, dude, none of us have gotten a hole-in-one yet. And then I got a hole-in-one after I hit it.
Right.
And then you got it right after me, which was funny. But yeah, it was overall it was really fun. You won with the asterisk next to it. And then we went back to the drive-in. We got there a little earlier. We actually got like the best parking spot that we had all weekend. And we watched. There was no guests or anything, so we kind of just got some food, or got some. I actually did get. We had in the back. We hid the
We did.
But later I wanted to try because I didn't get to try it. You did the first night. It was called the Mama's Boy, which was like it was a barbecue chicken waffle sandwich.
Yes. I liked it quite a bit.
I thought it was okay. I don't really like sweet
sweet
stuff, yeah. But I just wanted to try it because, like, hey, what the hell, you know, it's something cool.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so the first film was
What was the first? Oh, Pieces.
Pieces.
Yes.
Pieces is fun. It's more about the gore for me. I think like the giallo aspects are a little boring, like I do most of the time in giallos. But you know, it's you know, when there's, I don't know, there's a lot of small talk and just basic dialogue in it that kind of bogs it down. But the gore and the kills are so good in this movie. It's like might be it literally might be like top 10 best kills in a movie.
Yeah, this one kind of grew on me. I mean, I didn't really care for it the first time I watched it. I think I saw it like one other time and then this time, and you know, I think it's good. I agree. It has some parts that you're kind of like, let's move along here, but I kind of enjoyed watching it in that setting because you could hear everyone laughing at some of the dialogue that was really ridiculous and over the top. So that kind of added to the experience a bit. That's kind of my favorite part of watching these movies with a group, is even with like Sleepaway Camp, you know, people are laughing at parts that maybe when I'm sitting at home, I'm not laughing at them because I'm just sitting at home alone. But when you watch it with a group, you're like, oh, that is kind of funny because it's super dumb. But yeah, so that was fun. Pieces, I think I'm like on a stroke of 7s, but I give that one a 7 as well. So
I think I give Pieces like a 7.5. It's really about the gore for me. And then the next film was The Prowler, and yeah, you know, it's one that I've never been a huge fan of, but I appreciate the gore in it, and it has a lot of downtime too. I've never really watched that movie with my full attention. The first time I seen it was part of the Last Drive-In. And you know, we were entertaining the viewers and stuff like that. And then I watched it last year, and I was kind of like had it on in the background type thing. And then this time, you know, I wasn't fully invested in it, I would say. So and that's common with movies we've seen before. You know, we kind of talk a little bit and, you know, don't pay 100% attention to them because it's like an event, it's fun and stuff like that. And, you know, we go to the bathroom or go get a drink or something like that, so we miss little pieces. But it has good gore. And I like the killer.
yeah, I enjoy the killer. I think he's pretty creepy. The main girl reminds me of like a knockoff Amy Steele, which is weird because this movie came out like the same year. But yeah, I think it's a decent slasher. It's definitely not my favorite. I only watched it for the first time about a year ago. Austin, I did that one. Forget which movie we did that with on our show, but and you know, I was kind of like okay with it, but not my favorite. I give it a 7.5 though, because I think the gore is super well done in this film.
Gave it a 7. So yeah, what's up next? And yeah, so actually we decided to leave after that because the last film was Massacre at Central High, which honestly I would have liked to see more than The Prowler. Maybe not The Burning at least, but you know, it just because it's like kind of a weird one. It's like a proto slasher. And I actually liked it. It's from 1976. It was close to making my top 10 that year. I think it made Jeremy's top 10. It's pretty fun. But we were just weighing out our options, and I think it was midnight when The Prowler ended, and we're like, okay, well, if the movie started right away, we'd totally stay for it, but we know that there's going to be a long ass intermission of like a half hour or 45 minutes like they always do. They'll have they say we're going to start the 10-minute intermission, but that starts like 10 minutes after they say that, and then they show trailers to other movies and stuff, which I like, but you know, the last movie of the 9 movies, I kind of just want to roll with it. You know, they should honestly, the last night, they should just play the last one right away. I know that Vandergrift has gotten way better at the time in between movies. That's one thing that I really dislike about these marathons is just the time between movies, because it takes forever to get back home from this place. And we were like, okay, if we leave at midnight, we're gonna take tolls this time, so it's gonna cut out the time a little bit. We should get home at around 4:30, which seemed great. I was like, that would be way better. If we leave at 3, we're gonna get home at like 8. So
yeah, and I mean, I technically had the motel for another night too, but we usually just roll home. And at first, like last year, you wanted to do that, and I was kind of against it because I just love sleeping so much in a bed. But I think it is the best option, because you figure if we would have slept until checkout at like 11 a.m., then we wouldn't get home until like 4 p.m. So it's
and then
that's horrible to think about.
Here's the thing: you're wrecked when that happens. Like, you're just exhausted and you don't want to do anything the rest of the day. Like, I got home at 4:30. That's kind of when I normally go to sleep. So I'm like, this is pretty good. I got some sleep. Then we got up. I went and picked you up later in the day, and we went to Spirit of Halloween. It was just, we saw some cool stuff there,
Yeah, Spirit of Halloween. I was happy we finally got to go there. I feel like the one around us doesn't have as much cool stuff. There's other ones kind of near, like there's not a ton near us.
I've been to like a few before, and they all seem about the same to me. So
I don't know. I always feel like people from other areas have better luck than us. But I mean, they had more this time than I think last year when we went. It seemed like there was shelves just missing so much. But we picked up a few things. We walked around the whole store. I got a cool little fleece blanket of The Shining and a bunch of cups.
Yeah,
pretty
I got
much.
some cups, Shining cup, Krampus cup. There was something else too. I don't remember. Got a couple of shot glasses. They're plastic, but they were only $1, so I don't care. Got some pins. And then what else? Got a new lanyard, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, I got some stuff. It was pretty fun. It's always cool to go in there and look at costumes and stuff like that. We don't really do anything that requires costumes, but I kind of want to every year, but we just don't. So yeah, what else? I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. I'm glad I got to buy some stuff. Spirit of Halloween comes around once a year, guys, so you gotta just like spend your money there. But yeah, that was it for the adventure. I mean, I didn't mind going home after the Prowler, because if it was like a 2-day event, I would have wanted to stay for like all the movies, but I was cool with stuff.
Okay, so let's get into your blind spot, and then we can wrap it up.
Alright, so my blind spot for this week was Rocky from 1976, starring Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, Rocky. So this movie, essentially, you're following this dude Rocky, who is it boxing? Is that what that would be?
Dude,
or wrestling? Boxing. It's boxing, right? Wrestling.
Dude, are you being serious right now?
I don't know which is which.
What the hell? Wrestling?
Okay, so it's boxing. I said boxing first. I was just making sure.
What do you think? Do you think wrestling? What is going
They're
on?
They're all the same thing.
Wrestling's a fake thing, buddy.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because that's dumb.
I said boxing first, so I just wanted to make sure I was right. Anyway, he is a boxer, and he lives kind of in a grimy part of the city. He just boxes to get money, and he's all right at it. He's not great, but that's what he does. And meanwhile, you're kind of just like following his life. He goes into this pet shop all the time because he has these pet turtles and a fish, and there is a girl that works there who is extremely shy. He'll be kind of talking to her, cracking jokes, but she'll offer a smile, but she doesn't really reply back except for saying like, "Oh, hi Rocky," or "Bye Rocky." And she's actually the sister of this guy he knows, so he likes her, he wants to be set up with her, and the guy wants that to happen too because he feels she doesn't get out much, so he ends up setting them up together. Then they start this little relationship, and meanwhile you have this really popular boxer who comes into town, and I believe his opponent that he was there to fight suffers an injury or something, so he cannot participate. So they're trying to find someone for this guy to fight, and the guy gets the idea like, hey, let's just, instead of picking another total professional, let's just pick one of these basic fighters off the street, and that will bring in some more entertainment. So
yeah, it's like the everyman, like the big underdog. Like they want to sell it as like the underdog, and like they're just this regular guy. Like no, Rocky is not supposed to win this fight. Like he is like the biggest underdog in the history of sports would be. Like it's a complete mismatch. Like has no business being in there with Apollo Creed. But of course, Rocky, I think even Rocky doesn't necessarily believe he can win at first. You know what I mean? And so he, starts training and stuff, and
he's training with the old dude who I forget everyone's names like so easily, but the guy who
is it Mickey?
Oh yeah, you're right. It is Mickey, played by Burgess Meredith. Starts training with him, which this old guy, he's kind of hard on Rocky at first, and Rocky's like, why are you always like treating me like this? Like he like takes away his locker and everything, and the guy basically says something like, you have all this potential, but you just kind of, you're just kind of there. You don't really train or anything like that. So, he trains and then he fights the dude. Now I thought this movie was really solid. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but I did for the most part. I mean, it's very much like a character study type of movie. It reminded me a lot, almost like Taxi Driver, where you're following a character who, you're kind of just following his life as he's going through life, and you have some cool scenes where there's like a girl on the street and he pulls her aside and he's like, listen, like these people, they're gonna think you're a whore, you understand? And he keeps saying like all this stuff to her, and you understand. He reminded me a lot of you because you're always asking me if I understand. And and there's another part of the movie that reminds me of you where he's like, you get what I'm saying, or he always says like after every sentence, and it's just, that's
me. I said it like 400 times on this show.
Yeah, and he's like, he doesn't think, he's kind of like, I'm not very smart, that's why I learned to fight. He's a very interesting character.
He has a lot of charisma.
Yeah.
He seems like he has a lot of like wisdom, and he's very street smart. He just has he knows what's up. But he's just very likable and very, you root for him. And his dialogue is so throughout the movie, like he has a lot of dialogue. Like even when he talks to Adrian, it's just him talking.
Yeah, that is true. And there's a lot of just funny parts, like when he's at her door and he's like, hey, Adrian, what do you say? I'm talking to a door and I shouldn't be talking to a door. And then he's like, oh, this is stupid, and like walks away. A lot of great dialogue. I mean, I watched this when we got home from the trip. I didn't go to sleep right away. I took a shower, cleaned up a little, and then put this on because I wanted to just, watch it. It was a long movie, and I was super into it. I kept almost falling asleep, but I didn't want to because I was like just all in with Sylvester Stallone mainly. He really drives the movie forward, and the only thing, honestly, I don't care much about the actual boxing aspects, so that's like the one thing for me. I really enjoyed the beginning character development and the relationship development more than the whole final act where he's kind of training and then does the big fight. So there's that wasn't really for me. So I don't know if I would love the other Rocky films, but this one I liked. I gave this a 9 out of 10.
So this movie was interesting because it was written by Stallone.
I forgot to mention that. I saw that at the beginning and I was like, oh, I did not know that. That's really intriguing.
Right. Like he wrote this when he was trying to become an actor and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He was shopping. He was trying to, get in the film world, and he was shopping it around and stuff like that. And everybody kept turning it down. I think people wanted it, but they didn't want him to star in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wanted to star in it.
Right, yeah.
And, he had done a couple things before this. Like, he was in Death Race 2000. He got his career in, I think, either porn or softcore porn. And then he did like a couple small roles, and this was sort of his breakout role. And then, you know, he became a freaking superstar, one of the biggest action stars of all time. But Rocky, you know, he wanted to, you know, people were interested in the movie, but they didn't want him to act in it. Mm-hmm. And so he just kept shopping it around. I think eventually he got someone that would let him act, or he figured out how to get some money himself or something. But yeah, it's a really good movie. I've always really loved it, and it came out in November 1976. It was a huge hit, got a lot of you know, critical praise. I want to say it won Best Picture at the 49th Academy Awards, won Best Director. Stallone was nominated for Best Actor. It won Best Film Editing. I want to say that it even had like some very like good effects nominations for the effects in the end of the movie with the you know, the makeup with the
punchies and yeah. I mean, those are really good. They're really realistic looking. But
yeah, so I mean, this is a pretty big franchise.
I noticed. I was scrolling through and I was like, Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's a lot of Rocky films.
Rocky 2 is actually really good as well. It's a, you know, this film ends surprisingly, you know. I think you'd expect it to end a little differently. But Rocky 2 picks up after the first one, and it's the rematch with
Oh, okay.
And then Rocky 3, Clubber Lang, which is Mr. T, he is like a big up-and-coming boxer. And then Rocky 4 fights Ivan Drago, who is a Russian, and he's beast, and he's played by Dolph Lundgren. And then Rocky 5 is also Dolph Lundgren. And then Rocky 6, aka Rocky Balboa, I've never seen that one, so I don't really know what it's about. And then they made the 2 spin-offs, Creed and Creed 2, which is about Apollo Creed's son.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see.
So Rocky is like the Mickey in those movies.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. And
yeah.
Apparently he's doing another one. So
yeah, like I said, I don't know if I would really care for the other movies, but I'm kind of interested just because I did like this one. I just don't know if I would like them if they're like more boxing-esque.
No, they're kind of all about the same, I would say.
Alright, well, cool.
Yeah, it's a good series. I've actually never seen Rocky 4 and 5 and 6. Oh. I've watched parts of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're supposed to make a Creed 3 as well.
Jeez.
Yeah. Good series, though. Good series. Alright, so with that said, I think that's it. The only other thing I forgot to mention, when we went to the drive-in, I got a mask, which is the Beyond. They were selling masks, and it's the Beyond, which I thought was cool. You got a Evil Dead 2 one.
I did. It's pretty
Evil
cool.
Dead 1, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's part 1. We have to do your blind spot.
Oh yeah, I gotta pick my blind spot.
Yes.
Alright, let's see here. I don't have a randomizer up, so I must Google one.
Oh dear. Chicken here. Random there.
Blind spot. And oh, Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Already did that one.
You did.
Guess it skipped me this time and back to you.
No.
Okay. My Sister's Keeper. Dude, what is that? I didn't even know that was on here.
It's depressing. I asked you.
Oh god. Is it 2 hours? But it'll be 2 hours.
I don't think. You can skip if you want. As it might make you so.
Don't be 2 hours. Don't be 2
sad.
hours. Don't be 2 hours. And it is
almost 2 hours.
2 hours.
It's an hour and 49 minutes.
Damn it.
If you need to use your skip, you may.
I don't know. I probably won't use the skip, but 91 show. Well, we won't be recording this week, so we'll probably be doing it like next Monday or something. So I should have time. So
right.
All right. Okay, so that is it. We will see you guys next week with another episode. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.